Yo, YouTube! Good morning. This is a video for Friday the 16th of February, which was obviously the last day of last working week. It's now Monday, so it's been a few days since that day, but I'm ready to do my video now. It's not going to be very long. It wasn't an amazingly victorious day on Friday, but a few things happened that were interesting, at least from my point of view. So, let me start off. I've, as always, had to write down the stats because I don't remember any of this stuff, particularly the following day, and this is like 3 days later. So, I will forget what I want to say, so I'm just going to go with the vibe of the video and just ramble for a bit about what lessons I may have learnt on Friday, which I can remember. So, I left the house at 8:30 on Friday. I had a job going from, so just to remind myself now, because I just remembered, I was actually at my mum's house on Thursday night, so I was looking for jobs from about 8:30. I was looking for jobs, and I was trying to get my head around how far away from my mum's house is various bits of Birmingham and Redditch and Kidderminster. And yeah, so and I don't know Birmingham that well, but some bits were sort of 15 to 25 minutes away, and some were sort of half an hour to 35 minutes away. Sort of Wolverhampton, I could have got there in half an hour, which was quite handy. Dudley was sort of within 25 minutes, but then the other side of Wolverhampton was sort of 45 minutes away. So if you go to a certain distance to the other side of Birmingham, it adds quite a lot of time on. So I was trying to find stuff that was South Birmingham, Redditch, which quite a lot of work coming out there as well, and get a handle on where to go. And eventually I did get a job, but the bids I was putting on the jobs, I wasn't getting them, and a lot of the jobs I was bidding on were minimum price jobs, sort of £50, £60 for a long wheelbase job, so £50 for sort of smaller vehicles, and £60 for long wheelbase. But in the end, I got a job. It's a bit of an experiment, and it was going from Stourbridge, which was about 15 minutes away from where I was, to Hereford. Got the call at 9:50, and it was for a short wheelbase van. The loaded miles was 37 miles, and I got it for £50, basically a minimum price job for me. And obviously the reason why I got that job is because it's going to Hereford, and Hereford's quite a long way in the middle of nowhere job-wise. But I was happy to sort of try it out. It was the first job in the morning, and I wanted to sort of see what it was like. And I find that sometimes when you're in a very quiet area, you're the only driver there, and you get a good chance of getting a decent price out if you're patient enough. It doesn't always happen, but it sometimes happens. But I was glad to be on the road. Picked up the job from a really nice guy, as in the shipper. He really called me about it. I often say really nice guy when I have this, because it's the impression I get when I talk to people on the phone when they first ring me. And it may be wrong. I mean, maybe these people are horrible in real life. Who knows? But maybe the people that sound horrible on the phone are really nice in real life. I'm not saying that I have any kind of realistic disjudgment on their character. But when I say that, it's like I get a really good vibe from someone sometimes, that they're just kind of decent people who are just trying to make a living and are fair to drivers, and they're polite and they're professional, and even like having high standards. I like that. As long as you present that in a way that's kind of collaborative and informative, not just patronising. So most of the people I speak to be fair, are pretty nice guys on the phone, and so I am instinctively drawn to do a really good job for the really nice guys, in inverted commas. I don't know, it's just the way I'm made. It's not necessarily rational, but it's just, I like being polite, and I like people to be polite to me. It just makes me feel a bit more happy about the world. So that's just something I remember. And so, and I was really pleased because I got a job. It was quite a nice spring day. It was in the morning. It wasn't too late. I was heading on a trip across country to somewhere I'd not been for a long time. So I picked up that load from Stourport, and made my way west across country to Hereford, and that's when I was doing my video for Thursday. That was when I did that video. So most of that journey was taken up with that video, and then I didn't even take much notice of the countryside, but I remember it being quite hilly and not too busy on the roads. The weather was nice, I think, and it was just quite a nice little change to a journey. It reminded me a bit of a flatter Scotland in terms of countryside. So I got to Hereford, and there was a slight issue, which I'll talk about, or potential issue, and I don't know whether other drivers will have the same view as me as this, but I came across a road closed sign, and my heart always drops a bit when I see a road closed sign, particularly in an area I don't know very well, because obviously I've got my sat-nav organised, and sat-nav usually takes into account of road closures, so Google Maps is pretty good with that. But when you're in the country, there's lanes, I'm never quite sure if it is actually closed or not, or if the bit I'm going to get to is off where I'm meant to go and not the road closed bit. So I got to this junction. Excuse me. I got to this junction which is road closed, but like later on it's road closed. So I carried on going where the settler told me, and I had a quick look at the map, and I was going to turn off the road not very long down the road and cross a river. I was sort of coming into Hereford from the south, so I've sort of done a loop from the east, coming down, and I was going back up, coming up northwards towards South Hereford. So it seemed to make a bit of sense that where the route I was going was the direct route because of the river, and because it's so. Anyway, I trusted it, and luckily I got to where the road was actually closed, and that was the journey I was making off anyway. So my actual journey didn't have any road closure at all, but the sign did say road closed later on down. This brings me to a lesson that I have learnt about road closure signs, and yeah, I'll share that with you. So just come off this for a bit. Before I was a delivery driver, which would have been not this job but the job before, because I was delivering before, when I was just like a civilian on the road, as it were, I would just obey all road closure signs like a lemming and never go down that road, never try it, because usually I was on the way to work or doing a very easy route or doing a long distance. But as I became a delivery driver, first of all for multi-drop and then doing this job, the number of times that I just ignore a road closure sign, well basically it's every time now, I ignore that road closure sign every single time, but the number of times I've had to turn around and go back is probably about a third of the time, because often it's either not closed, it is passable, or it's not where I'm going. But it's not always clear. If you just completely followed what the sign said as you saw it, you could end up just wasting a lot of time and miles unnecessarily. I don't know what it is about road closure signs. They're not very accurate most of the time. I don't know why that is. It's weird. So I don't know whether other drivers have a similar view or not, or whether they or what they do. But I've found I've never really gone wrong with ignoring a road closure sign in most cases. As in, it's not ever day much worse. I remember the worst time I had with a diversion wasn't a road closure sign. It was with a flooding I had in this job, and I did a video of it. It's the day when I did a video of going through floodwater, and I was coming down into a valley, and the road was closed due to flooding. And it was a lane, and I had a very long, like 15-minute, 20-minute drive to get around this flooding. And even then I wasn't sure I'd get to my actual destination because of the flooding aspect of it, not because there was a road closure. So Anyway, going back to Friday, I got safely to my drop off at Hereford, which is an industrial estate. The guys there were really nice. They lift off my items, and then I parked up outside there looking for another job. Now, I wasn't expecting there to be much. I wasn't expecting there to be anything really. I did do a job in the past to Ross, and I know that it's not much coming out. And there was no one active around me, so I was the only driver in Hereford according to CX. So I thought I'd hang around for a bit just in case there was something. And I did do a bit of research, and I while I was waiting, I rang one of the local shippers. I'd been given some advice that this particular shipper was friendly, because so I don't usually ring shippers out of the blue, but because I was sort of been preempted that this guy was friendly. He was a Hereford-based shipper, so I just rang him and said, "I'm around if you need me." And he was really friendly, and he said he'd look out for me for the next half an hour if there was a job. And I think that's absolutely fair enough. And so I waited around for a bit, about 20 minutes. There was nothing coming up at all. I was looking at where jobs were coming up. I was getting jobs from Gloucester area, which was just over an hour away. A couple from Tewkesbury. I was thinking Bristol might be a good place to go to. I was sort of torn between heading to Bristol, and to Gloucester, so to pick up Gloucester, Tewkesbury, and Bristol jobs, or heading to South Birmingham to head up, or to get the Birmingham jobs again. For posterity, I'll record what I think is the best thing to do. I've initially went towards Gloucester, so I headed towards Ross from Hereford to head towards Gloucester. And there were jobs that were coming up. There were a few jobs. There's 2 or 3 jobs coming up, but they were all going sort of London way. And it was a Friday, and it was like the second job of the day. And I just didn't think that was a wise thing for me to do. In the past, I would have probably just done that without thinking about it, because it's a job. But it didn't quite feel like I'd been to London that week, and it reminded me how tough it was. So I just thought I'd rather avoid that if I can help it. I've kind of decided with London, I'm going to be a bit more nuanced about London. I think just completely ignoring it is probably not wise in this climate, in January, February, March, where there's not much work around. But what I will do is, if it's the last job of the day and I'm getting a decent rate for it, I'll go to London. Because then what I'll just do is I'll just dead mile it home and have a later night than otherwise. But the idea of trying to get a job out of London is just, I'm not even going to bother trying to do that. So a decent rate and the last job of the day, I would consider London. I'm not going to like it, but I would do it. Now, the other alternative, I got to Ross and a few jobs that probably up sort of south of Birmingham, and for me, I really think the Birmingham area, West Midlands, is the best chance I've got of getting home, because there is work from there going east, but even if it's Norwich, which is way past my home, it's a good job for me to get. So from the West Midlands to sort of to the East Midlands, to Humberside, to Norfolk, even Suffolk, I would do that job to get back across the country, and also to Cambridgeshire as well. So I headed on the M50 towards the junction with the M5. But before I got there, I did get a job come up, which was going from Kidderminster to Milton Keynes, and I thought that was okay. I thought I had a fighting chance of getting that job done in time and getting another job, a third job of the day, sort of heading northwards. So by the time I got the job, I'd already driven about 40 odd miles away from Hereford, and I got the job call at 5 to 1, and I carried on driving to Kidderminster and in total it was 60 miles from Hereford to Kidderminster. I was driving, so I arrived, I picked up the job in Stourbridge at 10:20, and I left there at 10:20, and I arrived at just before 12 o'clock at Hereford. So it took me, I waited around for about 20 minutes, and I got, about an hour later, I got the call for the second job of the day. I arrived at Kidderminster at 1:40, and the loaded miles for the job, it was a small van job. It was a very, very small van job. Yeah, I remember this one. I eventually found the right place at Kidderminster. It was an industrial estate, just outside really. And it's quite big, a really big industrial estate. And I got there, and it was a little box, about a shoebox size. I put it in my van, took a photo, and it's just, again, in my large, long wheelbase van, it looked quite pathetic. But it's a job. I bid on that £75 for 81 miles for a small van. So I made my way towards Milton Keynes. The traffic was quite busy in places, particularly towards Milton Keynes. And by the time I got there and offloaded, we dropped off this box. Actually, when I got there, I was really one aspect of this job I really like is I'll see what I had. I had a motor, so I went to a manufacturing place, and I ended up going to the reception. Usually go to a goods inn, but I went to the reception of this manufacturing place in Milton Keynes, and I was expecting to give this item to a receptionist. But the guy that came out was really, really looking forward to getting it. He was really happy to have this motor, and I really like that fact that someone actually really does look forward to receiving the things that I'm giving them. It's not like post you get at home, where it's either a bill or it's junk mail. What we deliver is actually wanted by somebody, and whether they're usually really pleased to receive it. Usually, oh, that's a bit close. That car. So it's really nice to have that sort of making someone's day when they receive an item they really want to have. Obviously a motor is probably something that's broken down, they want to need to replace to get on with their work. So it's another aspect of this job that I really like. So now I parked outside that, I couldn't quite park outside the industrial place I was at. It was on the main road. So I drove down the road, went to another industrial estate and parked up and looked for a job. And there was a few jobs, and I bid on some jobs, but I wasn't getting any luck with the bids I was bidding on. And I was getting a bit frustrated by it. I noticed actually it was 4:30. By 4:30 it was still light. So I think my other thing I want to say today is I think we've now cracked winter. It's nowhere near as dark in the mornings as it used to be, and it's nowhere near as dark sort of at 4:30 or 5 o'clock as it used to be. It used to be pitch black not long ago, but it's quite quickly got bright. We haven't even put the clocks forward yet, or back, but we don't do. For a fortnight, I think. I won't know. So I definitely feel we're into spring, pretty much. But maybe not quite there, but it feels much better than it was over the winter months. And I do like spring. In terms of compared to winter at least, so that makes me a bit more optimistic about doing this job. Anyway, so I was a bit hungry. I did on a couple of occasions, like the night before Thursday, I went to a supermarket and bought a load of crappy food to eat. And I did the same on Friday. At this point, I wanted a bit of a treat, so I went to Aldi and bought some crappy food that I liked and made myself really full. So it was now 4:30, as I said, and I was looking for jobs, and I wasn't getting anything, and I was running out of time. I carried on bidding on stuff. It got to 5, didn't win a bid, and by 5:10 I was like, oh, I've had enough of this now. I could hang around for longer, but I might as well start making my way home. So my trip home was a couple of hours, maybe an hour and 3/4 from Milton Keynes. And so I just drove home at that point, and that was it. That was the end of my working day. 2 small CX jobs. The thing that I was going to mention, though, which I forgot to mention about the second job, is I got the second job, I think, because it was with the same shipper that I'd done the job for in the morning. So the Starbridge to Hereford job was the nice guy that rang me, and the Kidderminster to Milton Keynes job was exactly the same guy. So I was about to ring him and say, I put a bid on your job, remember from this morning, and he called me. So I'm really pleased that he did take my bid. And I thought £75 for 81 miles for a small van, basically it was just a box, was a fair price. And that was good from Kidderminster, which isn't in the middle of nowhere. So there would have been other drivers around to compete for that job. So I will remember that company now. If I ever see it, I'll be looking to try and build communication with that guy. And the other thing I was going to say off Friday, when I was waiting to get a job, I did reach out to a couple of shippers that I've worked for before. One just to say how are things going. I wasn't expecting to get a job from them, but I just wanted to make sure they're okay, because I did kind of like the way he works. And another one, I put a bid on the job that I didn't end up getting with the shipper I've worked with before. Then I just text and say I put a bid on the job just to sort of remind them that I do exist, and maybe we will get a job from them again. I will get a job from them again. I did look back at my text conversation with this shipper, and I haven't won some bids from them for a while. So I was a bit unsure as to why that was, and it's possible that the reason why I've not won bids from them for a while is that the last conversation on text that we had was me asking for some waiting time because I'd waited for over an hour, or maybe just about an hour. I think I asked for about £10 to £15 for waiting time, and them saying that they don't pay waiting time the first hour, and me saying, well, I think that's a bit unfair. This is all through text. So I wonder if they felt I was being a bit ungrateful and therefore thought I'm not going to bother giving you any more work anymore. That's what gets through my head anyway. I might have completely misread it, but I have since then I have at least had 3 bids that I put on their work just ignored. So I think that they're kind of blocking me to some extent. So when I sent the message to them saying I'm available, they did reply saying sorry, it's gone, and I said no worries. So I'm thinking maybe that message would be a bit more open communication again. So we'll see if we get a job next time I bid. So trying to reach out to decent shippers to remind them that I'm around, and I can do work for them if I'm available. And sort of that's the way that I want to sort of build up my reputation, I suppose, and my name. My form of marketing is not the same as what you get in reading books. I'm not going to go cold calling or ringing people out of the blue saying I'm here, I'm brilliant. Something else goes through my head, which I'll remind you about. I was watching a YouTube video, a new YouTube video of the weekend, and one of the things that struck me was they were saying we can offer you the cheapest rates. We will offer you. It's a single guy on his own doing his own one van in a van, but it says we, which I find really weird. They say we can offer you the best rates, the cheapest rates. We'll offer you a great service. And I was thinking, you're quite new at this job, and your unique selling sort of point is you're going to be the cheapest. And I just think that's not going to get you anywhere. You can be the cheapest if you're the biggest, because you've got economies of scale. You can also but you can't go in as a newbie driver. Well, okay, in my view, it's a really bad strategy to go in as a newbie driver with no contacts, saying I'll be really cheap for you, try and win customers by being the cheapest, because they're not going to have any loyalty to you if that's why they go with you. Because then the next person comes along is going to go with. Oh God, I'm so frustrated with this. My head is spinning with things to say, and I don't want to keep just saying it all out. So let me try and start again. From my point of view, as a single self-employed driver, self-employed courier, trying to say I'm going to win a customer, a direct customer, by saying I'm going to be the cheapest and the best you can get, I think is completely completely false. It sounds good, it's just not something you can actually live up to. Because as a single driver, you may be thinking, oh, I'll just get drivers off the CX to do my jobs when I can't do them, which is fine, but you have very little control over the quality of that driver. And they're also very little control over the price you give that driver. If there's no drivers around when you actually want them, and you can't do it, you have to pay what you have to pay. So you can't guarantee to be the best or the cheapest. And you might get away with it for a bit. You might, with that strategy, win to customer, and for a few weeks or months manage to really give a great service because they're your only customer, and do it really cheaply because you're trying to kind of curry favour. But if you go in with that, they're going to expect that all the time, and then at some point you're going to let them down. Then you're going to not give the good quality. Then they're going to not trust you. It's going to spiral out of control. You're going to get another customer, second customer, third customer. They're going to. It's just, in my mind, getting your own customers and then trying to offer them the best and the cheapest is ridiculous. Very, very naive and very foolhardy. But I know it sounds good. I know that everyone has good intentions. I don't think people are doing this because they want to let people down. I think people go into this with thinking they are going to be really good because their standards are really good. But part of my point is, if you are going to do the job yourself, you can control your standards. And you can be cheap and you can be good, but you cannot do that every time for your customers, because you're not available. You might be on holiday, you might be ill, or you might be busy. So going into a relationship where you're saying, I'm going to be the cheapest and the best for you, I think is wrong. And I think any customer that is attracted to that is not a good customer. In my view, again, this is just my view, I think customers that want reliability and quality but will pay the price, they're realistic. Customers who want cheap will not stick with one person. Why should they? They'll just go from one person to the next until they get the cheapest price. Now, if they are big enough, they'll do their own deliveries. That's probably the cheapest way of doing it. Deliver their own goods, or they'll get a big national companies to get a contract for them and do it. Economies of scale again. But if they're small and they're ad hoc deliveries, then I think offering the cheapest is just really bad. So what's my approach? So my approach to this job is, for a start, I believe it. So it's not like maybe this is the thing I would say. If you believe that you are going to be the cheapest and the best, then maybe you should do that because that's what you genuinely believe. But I believe I'm not the cheapest. I'm not trying to be the cheapest. I wouldn't even want a customer who wants the cheapest service, because the cheapest service is Pallet Line or some other pallet service, or it's taking it themselves, or or getting a friend to do it, There's loads of other options you can have for delivering something. Royal Mail might be a bit cheaper. What I think we're offering for same day is a premium level service, and you don't do that on the cheap. And anyone who wants on the cheap is not someone I want to work with. When I say premium level, what I'm saying is, I'll pick up your goods that fit in my van. I'll know they fit in my van because I know how big my van is, and you'll tell me how big your goods are. I will strap them down, make sure they're safe and they won't break en route. I won't take anyone else's goods with me. I'll just do your trip. I'll go from the place that you asked me to pick them up from to anywhere in the country you tell me to take them. No, it's not over a ferry at the moment. And I will do that straight away. I'll take it from A to B straight away, and I'll take that when you say to me you want it today or tomorrow or at a certain time. I will do that instruction to the letter, and if I can't do it, I will tell you why, and I will arrange a different way of doing it. So maybe I'm a bit late, so I'll tell you why and I'll let you know, or maybe I'm a bit early, I won't tell you why. So it's about communicating. It's about being understanding that I'm taking your goods that you value to your customer, and they value them. This is. I've heard some people saying, what is it? Something like your parcel is your dream come true or something, or your first step of your dreams. Some absolute utter tosh. It's just a parcel, but it is important. It's not a metaphor for life. It's not happiness in a bottle. It's just a piece, an item that needs to go from A to B and done safely and as quickly as possible, or even not as quickly as possible, just in a certain time. So it's not a complex job. There's a few parameters. There's time, there's space, and there's money. It's probably the three things you've got to bear in mind with this job. And if you communicate clearly and honestly, then that, I think, is what made my quality job. So there is some things I won't do. I don't want to do fine art. I mean, it might be really easy to transfer it, but I'd worry the hell that someone's expecting me to have a really sort of like a limousine style vehicle. I don't have that. I have a white van. I'm a white van man. So there's some items that would fit that I wouldn't want to do unless they understood I was in a van, because the level of service isn't that posh. I mean, I'm not catering for billionaires and millionaires. They might want something a bit more plush than I can offer. So I have a certain, I'm in a certain niche, and I'm comfortable with it. And so, for that reason, I feel that suits my character. That suits what I can offer. It suits what I can fulfil. I can't fulfil the cheapest, the quickest, all these other things that for the money that it costs me to do it. Because the running costs are quite high for something like this. So anyway, coming to costs, I just base my cost expectations. So what I've said it quite a few times, what do I think is fair cost or something? But over time I've come to a decision about what I think is a fair cost for doing this service, and it's based on the lower end of that is based on what I need to run my business, to run the van, to earn enough money to live. And the upper end is based on, well, there's only so much someone's going to pay for this service, and there's other drivers who will do it for less. So there's a natural kind of upper point for this. But if someone was to really know and trust me and think I can do the job for them the best, they might give me double the price because they happen to really want me to do the job. But I don't have customers like that. I don't have people with that name like that. So I'm in the market with other CX drivers. So it is the upper boundary. I'm limited by what the market will pay generally, and I'm okay with that. Generally, in a when all things being equal, there is enough work at the price that I will get it for that I can survive. Over the course of a year, there are peaks and troughs. This is the other thing I want people to understand, which it's, to me, is obvious, but maybe some people, they choose to ignore this. This is not a job. I'm rambling a lot now, no, but I'm finding it interesting anyway. This is not a job that is it's not a PAY job. You don't go and get, I don't know, £100 an hour, or what is a PAY job nowadays? £800 a month, £1,000 a month, every month on the same day. I mean, that it should go without saying that's not the job. You don't get £1,000 a month every last day of the month every month. You don't get holiday pay. You don't get pension contributions. You don't get sickness benefits as you would do with a paid job. So it's not that job. But sometimes people come to this job and they expect the same sort of benefits or approach that job gives, and really it's very different. Some days will be really poor. The least that I can earn in a day is negative I don't know, whatever my petrol is that day. I might drive out. Let's say probably the least I could probably earn is probably about, realistically, I could drive somewhere. Let's say I'll drive to Scotland. Let's say it's 500 miles away, and let's say I drive back the next day empty. The least I would earn is something like negative £150 in diesel, maybe. Maybe no, not that, but sorry, maybe negative £75 in diesel. And if you then were to combine that with business costs a day, so theoretically I could be down by about £80, £135 ish, 150. Let's say £150 on the worst day ever. If I was a long way from home, got no work, had to drive back empty, and I was covering my business costs, I'm probably going to make minus 150 on the worst day. But I'm not going to go lower than that. But on the best day, I could make £800, £700 before costs. It could almost be anything. You know, if I had a really busy day and woke up really early, had a really long day, I could probably make more than that even. Maybe even make £1,000 in a day. It's possible. It's as unlikely as my other day that I said, which was minus 150. So the day can be really bad or really good, but every day could be one of those. And every week is equally could be bad or good. I mean, in January, February, you're going to expect to have more bad weeks, inverted commas, so low-paying weeks, than in sort of the rest of the year. But it's not to say that every week in January, February is bad. I've had a decent week in February. It's not to say that every week in the rest of the year is good. You have to accept that the only way you make money is by getting out there and putting in the effort. And sometimes, even if you put in the effort and you're available, you don't get the money. You don't get the work. For whatever reason. And if you don't understand that basic concept of being self-employed, some people get frustrated. I get comments on my YouTube video, when I have a bad day, they say, oh, the comments says, oh, some comments along the lines of, oh, what's the point of doing that job? You've earned no money. But they kind of miss out all the other days where I have earned money. It's a weird way of looking at the world. I think what it is, it's a bit of one-upmanship. It's like, I've got a job that pays more than you, so you've made a wrong decision. And I find that really strange. Why would someone? You know, I'm now talking about social media now, so I better stop. But why do people choose to put negative comments on social media? Sometimes I'll do another video on negative comments on social media because it's fascinating to me the character of people that do that sometimes. But I won't do this video because I've been on quite long enough as it is. Maybe I'll do it tonight for this next video. I'll write it down and remind myself. Okay, I'm going to bring the ramble to a close, and I'm going to talk about some stats for Friday now. So on Friday itself, I drove for 265 miles in the end. I did 2 CX jobs, and I worked for 9.5 hours. My average fuel price per mile driven is 15.44 pence per mile. That means that I spent £40.92 on Friday on fuel. Now I only earned £125 in total, 125. That was £50 to go from Stourport to Hereford, and £75 to go from Kidderminster to Milton Keynes. Which means that after all of that day, I, after fuel, earned £84, which effectively just covers my business costs for that day. For the week, for 3 days working in that week, I drove a total of 1,003 miles. I worked for a total of 35.5 hours. This is on the road time, or out of the house time, should I say. I only earned £600 in those 3 days, gross, and I spent £154 on diesel, which means that my net income after fuel for that week was £446, 446. And on average, therefore, over the 3 days that I worked, I earned £149 per day after fuel. My average pence per mile earned for all the miles that I drove after taking into account the fuel costs was 44.6 pence per mile. So quite low, quite poor. Obviously that indicates quite a lot of dead miles. And my average hourly income after accounting for business costs, which I averaged at about £80 per working day, was £10, £14 per hour. So not too bad, even though did look quite a bad week. But if you've not seen my other videos, I don't give a monkeys about my hourly rate. I know some people do, so I put it in my videos because some people like to compare that to other jobs. For me, at this moment in time, I couldn't care less about that rate. I'm much more concerned about the figure, which is how much do I earn after fuel costs per day on average. And basically £150, £150 after fuel is what I earn for my 3 days work each day. Right. If I forget, remind me to talk about negative YouTube comments next video. I've come across a few recently, a few shippers that are really great guys, and I want to keep in contact with them, sort of work for them. So even more so for this video, I want to appreciate all those great shippers and drivers that work together collaboratively in this industry. I hope you do really well this year and onwards. Thank you for listening. Farewell, friends.